Hello, everybody, and welcome to my podcast, JustDelphineKnits, which is my podcast on YouTube where I talk about knitting. It has been a while since I had the time to record a podcast because life has been crazy. It has been great crazy and less great crazy. It's how life is, of course. But I did have a lot of knitting time. I just didn't have a lot of daytime recording time. So it means that I have a lot to talk about. And the first thing I want to talk about is about my first finished object, which is the object I'm wearing. This is my Pippin sweater from the Knit Purl Girl. This is a sweater in, I think you call it seed stitch or sand stitch or whatever stitch. Just come close and then you can see it. It's a really lovely pattern. Release day is today. I don't know if I will be able to upload this on Saturday or Sunday, but it's released on Saturday. It's a really lovely pattern. I am a big fan of the patterns of the Knit Purl Girl. I'm a big fan of the Knit Purl Girl herself as well. She's a really lovely girl in the community, also in the chats for the tester group, so I really like testing for her. I also really like the fit of this garment. I will post a picture because, yeah, the viewfinder isn't big enough to have a decent sight on this one. But yeah, I like the fact that it has some positive ease, but it's not really oversized. So I can move, but it doesn't have an oversized look. The length, I did make it not cropped, but also not really long. Like, it's less cropped than my other recent sweaters, which means I can wear it on my older jeans. So like when I go to work, I wear my newer jeans, and that is most of the time high-waisted. But a few years ago, it was more like normal waist or low waist jeans that were in fashion. And I will still wear those at home or in the weekend to go for a hike or something, since I will not wear my new jeans and make them dirty. So that's why it's really handy that I have a slightly longer sweater as well to be able to combine it with those trousers. So what can I say? Oh, I can say more about the yarn. I've made this one in Annel Malmedy, which is a really affordable yarn. I think I paid just under 30 euros for the complete sweater. I used 10.5 balls, so yeah, I have to buy 11 if I want to make this one again. It's superwash merino. I know there's a lot to do about superwash, but for me it's ideal for this type of sweater because I go to work by bike and I really want to live in this sweater, which makes it easier if it's superwash. So that's one thing I want to say. It's a Belgian brand. So it's I would say it's a rather light decay, but a really good stitch definition. So I like it. I also applied for the cardigan. I don't know yet if I can test it. If I can, I want to make one in the same yarn but in cream white. So, and if I don't, if I'm not accepted for the testing, I will buy the pattern afterwards and make one in cream white. So I will make one definitely. When is the question? So this is my first finished object. I haven't worn it a lot. I have only worn it last Sunday, but it's really warm for this time of the year. So it's still slightly too warm to wear a woolen sweater all day, but it's fine. I like the weather. I do have more of those. And the first one is a cowl. I have tested this for HelenKennedyDesigns. I discovered this via Yarn Pond. It's a cowl, also in Annel Malmedy, by the way. I love that yarn. I used just over 2 skeins. I want to make this one again as a Christmas present, and I will just reduce the amount of ribbing on the bottom and the top, and then I should be fine because this is the amount of ribbing, 1 centimeter of ribbing that has been taken from the 3rd skein. I really enjoyed knitting this because this is a charted cowl, and I really like charted things. because then you can really see your garment grow. I love this one. I cannot say anything special. There was no special interaction with the designer or something, apart from that she was really kind in the group, but it's not that I really know her, but I enjoyed making this, and it does fit with my, well, it does match with my, just a moment. This is a project bag I made myself. It matches with the hat I made last year, which is also with Annell Malmedy in the same color, but with a contrast in Drops Charisma. And I really want to make fingerless mitts with these two colors to match the set and then to have a complete set. Matching by color but not by pattern, but that's fine, I think. So that's something I want to do. It's already a plan now. Next up is a cowl again. I have done the preview knit for Creabea of her Cargill Cowl, which is this one. This pattern has been released also this week. All proceeds for November go to charity, so that's really a good thing. I really like the end result. It's a really snug cowl, and it will be really good for when it's really cold weather. I also like the yarn because it has a gradient in it, or like some color changes, so I really like it. But I must say that the written instructions for the cowl were not that really great. I wasn't able to know how the dip stitch was from the pattern, so I really needed to YouTube movie. I know the Creabea is fine with that, and she knows that I think this, but for me, I prefer written knitting instructions, especially for like something simple as a cowl, because I often knit during when I watch YouTube podcasts, and so it's like annoying if I need something not paper based or like a second device to look to a small movie. I also think like part of me finding this difficult is because I'm an English knitter, and like at some point they talk about a loop and my yarn isn't there. Like I hold my yarn in my right hand and a continental knitter holds it in their left hand, so yeah, for me there was no loop there because my yarn wasn't there. So I think part of me finding this difficult is because I'm a English style knitter, but I assume I'm not the only one. So I totally love the end results, so I'm glad I made it, but it's not like the process wasn't my most favorite process. That's what I want to say. Of course, I don't want to be rude to anybody. I like the Creabea, her podcast. I don't dislike the Creabea. It's just like me not matching her pattern instructions or something. It's a matchy thing. So this is another finished garment. And I still have, yeah, here it is on the floor. I still have some yarn left. This is Creative Melange aran wonderball, by the way. I don't think it's aran, it's more DK. And I want to make a matching hat, also not pattern wise but color wise, and I think I want to use the brioche hat from Petite Knit. I don't know the name by heart, but the hat with brioche stitch. So I don't know when I will make this, but I would love to have a set. Next up, two other FOs. Just a second, I will just take them all at once. So, it's a pair of socks. You can see where I was last time. One sock, and then I had to complete the other sock as well. The main yarn is from Atelier wolbeest. It's hand dyed. I really like it. The contrasts are jawoll. It's not my first pair of socks in this yarn because, just a sec, I've made this. These are slightly shorter with only a contrast heel. And I like to see and to compare, like they just, you see that they fluff and felt a little tiny bit. but they're fine actually after wearing so much. I have worn them 4 times, which is not a huge amount of course, but it's more than once. So I really like how this yarn holds up, especially after I had an accident with felting socks on my feet from Julia. So yeah, that's why I'm really happy that these look like this. This is the second pair, all in 100 gram skein, and I still have some left, which is this amount, and I want to use it together with other colors of jawoll to make a scrappy stripy sock pair from the Crazy Sock Lady. And talking about scrappy stripy socks, ta-da! These are finished. They will be for the gift basket. I slightly changed the amount of stripes on the foot because I accidentally knitted too far on the foot in brown. So I had to do less stripes, otherwise I would have had an issue with the length of the foot. So yeah, I like them. I'm still practicing with the jogless stripe, but it sucks, so I'm fine with practicing. They will be a gift for later this year. But I still have some yarn left, so I want to make another scrappy project and add this one as a main color. Not the scrappy stripes, but another project I still have to decide on. So these will be the colors then. I like to combine different colors and see. These are, by the way, from leftovers from this sock I've made and worn. I think that's everything for finished objects. Whips that got some love are quite limited because I finished a lot, but I do have a few, and the first one is something I want to finish soon actually, is this pair of socks from Regia, which I'm making for my husband. He gifted me this yarn for my birthday. It's just a normal vanilla sock because it's self-patterning. So I'm knitting them on 9-inch circulars, so I love them. Not much to say about them. Next thing is a shawl. I want to show you. This is the Elation shawl from Herbarden knitwear. I'll just do it like this. I still have a lot to do, but I really enjoy this one. The pattern is great. It's not difficult at all, but she gives a lot of extra explanation in the pattern, like how to make a gradient, etc. I'm just making this from stash yarn I got from my aunt last year, but you could combine different colors of mohair, and that's something I want to do in the future. But I really like the pattern. The way she explains things, like even for a simple thing as this, it will get more, well, not more difficult, but like there will be something extra at the end. There will be a ruffle. Even though it's simple, she gives you so much explanation in the pattern that it's still worth the money. And I didn't know her style of patterns yet, but I must say she's really worth it. And she's so underrated. Like, if I hear her talking on Instagram that her pattern sales aren't really great, and I hear other designers saying that they had huge sales, and I'm able to compare both, I can say that Herbarden knitwear has a really huge that Herbarden knitwear has really quality patterns, great quality patterns. So I would really recommend her. I'm now participating in this knit along. There is a chat group for this knit along, and yeah, she's really lovely in the chat group as well. And yeah, I just think she deserves better, not only as a person but also as a designer. I have several of her patterns on my to knit list. As I told you last time, I want to knit the Wizik, I don't know how to pronounce it, sweater with the colors in Drops Charisma. I will frog from my Stephen West shawl, but I just, yeah, there's several more on my to-knit list actually. Next to that, this is a knit along to overcome the craziness around the MCAL from Stephen West because I'm not participating. My Stephen West experience wasn't very great, so it didn't work out. And when I now see the clues on other people's shawls, I'm so glad I didn't join. It's a little too much. I don't like it. Oops. So yeah, I'm really glad I joined this call. It's not an call, but it's a call instead. So this is one of my whips I would really recommend so far. I didn't make a lot of progress yet because this was my morning knit for a while, and I didn't always have time in the morning to knit. And then another is a test knit for House of Buddleia, which is the Jagged little socks. It's a first timer for a lot of things. It's the first time using Filcolana Arvetta, and I just like this. It hasn't been blocked yet, so it's a little wonky, but I think it's still fine. If you compare it with this jawoll yarn, which has been blocked, then the stitch definition and the color work in this one is just better. So I prefer this one. It's also really soft. So first time for the yarn, first time doing all over color work. And I use the 9-inch circular, which is better because with Magic Loop you always have to pay attention when you switch needle that your float is still the right length, and here it's more evenly distributed. And an important other first timer is the first real afterthought heel. I was really scared to cut into my yarn, but yeah, so far I think I did it correctly, and I hope it will survive. We'll see. I still have to knit the second one though, so I hope to finish this, I think in 1 or 2 weeks, the second one, but I can already give my feedback. And this pattern will be released, I think the 4th of November or somewhere around that time, on the birthday of Anna. Anna as well is a really lovely person. She's really present in the tester group, and I didn't know her patterns yet. I discovered them via Melissa from MB Makes, who has a podcast as well, by the way, and I'm really glad I did. So yeah, really happy. Love this one. And this is my last whip. Yeah, I'm correct. This is my last whip for today, but of course I have some plans to talk about. First plan is a sock. This is alpaquino from Katia. It's really soft and fluffy, and yeah, it has a lot of drape, let's say, and I really want to make socks out of this one, but I will still need to decide on the pattern. If you have any pattern suggestions for alpaca socks, please let me know. And then I fell in love with Dartmoor sweater from Kadri, which is a drop shoulder sweater. It will be the first time I'm knitting a drop shoulder sweater in the round, so I'm looking forward to that. I will be using Apilou tweed, which is leftover, but I have a lot of leftover from the zipper sweater man I made last year for my husband. It is acrylic yarn, but it's a higher quality acrylic yarn, and I have it in stash, so I really want to use it. And the thing is, it will be perfect for days where it's too warm for woolen sweaters, so I hope to get a lot of wear out of this one as well. So I hope to start this one soon. Here it is. So a few months ago I've made the Felix cardigan, but the neckline is slightly too wide for me, and it's not an option to go to size down and have a smaller neckline in this pattern. So I really wanted to learn more about raglan sweaters and cardigans and know how to adapt a neckline. And so I decided to just try and design one for myself, not designing a pattern. It will be like picking from different patterns to make my own perfect raglan in order to have then a cardigan in the end with the right neckline. I will be using Drops Knit Purl and Drops Kid Silk Mohair, which I have bought in the Drops sale. I'll still have to swatch and do some calculations, but this is what I want to have. So I will keep you posted on that. And in order to learn more about raglans, I've bought this book, which is Ready Set Raglan. I was a little bit disappointed because I I misread something. Because there was on the website that you had a formula to calculate your own raglan, and I thought it was a raglan sweater, but it's a raglan seam. But still, it's worded because there's a lot of explanation about adding short rows, a high low hem, etc. So I will still be using it. And there is also one raglan. You can see it actually, this one that has flowers on the raglan. So I really want to try that one as well someday. I also bought another book, which is Coco Knit's Sweater Workshop. She has a really nice shoulder construction and sleeve construction, and also a great way of explaining how to track everything. So I really want to try that one as well, but I don't know which stash I would use, so this is a longer term project, but still, it's on my list someday. I'm a book lover when it comes to knits. I really like to go through my knitting books, plan things, change my mind. Like sometimes I'm telling you, oh, I will make this thing out of this yarn, and then most of the time you will think, huh, you said something else last time. Perfectly possible for me. So something you have to live with if you're following this podcast, but I suppose yeah, that's how a knitter's brain works. Another book, my last book for this week, is Operation Sock Drawer from the Knit Purl Girls. I love it. There's so many different socks in that I would love to make. Yeah, I just love it. There's color work, there's cables, there is lace, there is some knits and pearls. There are different heels, different toes, toe up, cuff down. There's so much in this book that it's a huge variety. Whereas sometimes in a book, it's yeah, it's more of the same. I would say it's a color work book or it's a lace book or whatever. I know I also have 52 weeks of socks, but that one is kind of intimidating. Whereas this one more speaks to me as a 1 year sock knitter. So I would say this one is more attracting to me than 52 weeks of socks. I would even consider selling my book of 52 weeks of socks. So yeah, this one is more my thing. So those are my books for this week. I won't buy any more knitting books soon, but I will put them on my Christmas list, so maybe I will get them for Christmas or something. So that was everything, I guess, knitting related. Oh no, I still have to recommend the podcast. And this week it's Sunny Sea Knits, which is a Dutch lady. I think she's a doctor. But she has a Dutch and an English podcast. So I really like her style. The type of patterns she makes are also the patterns I love to make. So I would really recommend checking her out. It's really lovely. So that's more or less everything then, I guess. So I would say I will try to get back to you in 2 or 3 weeks. I have 1 week of holiday to go now. And I really want to focus on existing whips and maybe cast on a new sock or a pair of mittens, like something small, but otherwise I first want to finish a few things before I can cast on new things. So I should have some things to talk about soon. So that would mean that I would be able to come back to you around the 12th of November or the 19th of November. We'll see what life brings in the meantime. So if you like this, please like and subscribe. I noticed from last time that I had a lot of views, especially on the Dutch one, but also on the English one, and that really made me happy. So liking and subscribing really helps to give this podcast some visibility. And thank you so lot. Bye.